Well, joining me now is Robert Hazell, who's Professor of Government and the Constitution at the Constitution Unit at University College London. Thanks for being with us. How significant a moment would it be if that were to happen?
Well, it would certainly be very significant, and I hope it won't happen. I'm really surprised at how quickly this has developed and that the government's excessively rapid response. This is all in response to an opinion poll by YouGov, in which people were asked whether Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor should be removed from the line of succession, and 82% said yes. But the poll never explained to people how that would be done, what the costs involved would be, how complicated it would be, how much parliamentary time, political capital, diplomatic goodwill would have to be expended, because it's not just a matter for the Westminster Parliament to legislate to remove Andrew from the line of succession. It would have to be all the 14 other countries around the world where King Charles is also their head of state. We've done this once before, succession to the Crown Act 2013, which rendered the succession gender neutral, so that in future the eldest child, whether a boy or a girl, would automatically be the heir apparent. But that took 2 years of really complicated, detailed, patient diplomatic effort to persuade all the other 14 countries around the world, which had their own political and constitutional difficulties in changing their constitutions to come into line, that this was worthwhile. So they were persuaded it was worthwhile to make the line of succession gender neutral. I'd be very surprised if they were easily persuaded it was worthwhile to remove Andrew from the line of succession when he's 8th in line. And so this is an extremely remote, hypothetical possibility.
So do you think that at the moment this is a kind of a hypothetical discussion, and once they look at the costs, as you suggest, that it will somehow go away?
I would hope so, because if people in Britain, who are the people who answered the poll, and 80% say they want Andrew removed from the line of succession, if it were explained to them in that polling question, if Westminster legislates on this, it won't have time to legislate on other things like extortionate ground rents or waiting times for the NHS or unhealthy foods or the use of smartphones by children in schools, things that affect your daily lives. If people were then asked, what would you like Parliament to spend time legislating on? Removing Andrew from the line of succession when he's 8th in line and highly unlikely ever to succeed, or to spend time on something that does concern you and affect your daily lives, I think people might come up with a very different answer.
And just to go back to the situation we're in with Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor was arrested, on that particular issue, do you see that as a point where it's a constitutional crisis, or do you see it as how do you see this particular moment for the monarchy?
Well, going back to the polling data, I haven't seen whether YouGov has released any other polling data today or this week, but the most recent polls I have looked at were from last month, from January, and those showed very clearly that the public can distinguish between their attitude to an individual and their support for monarchy as an institution. So to give you the figures,
Robert
the public had a negative rating on Andrew of minus 90%, but they supported King Charles with a positive rating of plus 60%.
Sorry to interrupt you, Robert Hazell, but you have to take a quick break now. But thank you for being with us. Do stay with us here on BBC News.